Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Vito. Today we're talking about some wild turkey and gonna show you how Canadians make an old fashioned with a little help from Mother Nature. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna make an old fashioned version Canuck. So how we're gonna start, we're gonna get some ice. We're gonna try and get our ice cube. Now normally I like to use 4 normal ice cubes, but ice wouldn't become ice fast enough, so I decided to use a pre-made ice mold that was already frozen. Once you get that out of the mold, pop it into your glass. Alright, so get your whiskey. I like using Wild Turkey 101, high proof, handles dilution really well. So we're gonna do 2 ounces of the wild turkey, and into the glass it goes. All right, now pop that closed. Angostura bitters. I've never experimented with anything other than that, so that's what I use. Usually 3, maybe 4. Sure, why not? I like bitter, so the more the merrier for me. Now what makes this old-fashioned Canuck is the addition of maple syrup in place of any other sort of syrup or sweetener. 100% maple syrup, not that Aunt Jemima stuff. Do your best to try and find 100% maple syrup. It does make a huge difference, trust me. So stir all that up, get it nice and together. Now we're gonna get an orange and we're gonna try and slice it. Now slice and a miss, slice and a miss. I had to go get a tangerine because that was the only other orange thing I had in the house. Now surprisingly this worked out really well. So if you're ever in a pinch, or if you really want to try it, the tangerine actually makes a really surprisingly big difference. I enjoyed it a lot better than any orange peel addition to an old fashioned I've ever had. So I might actually make this a staple in how I make my old fashions. Tangerines, who would have known? And it's real good. All right, so that is how I make my old fashions. Now hopefully it's of interest to anyone to try out the maple syrup and tangerine additions to the standard recipe. This maple syrup I've been using for a really long time, so and I really like it. That's really how I enjoy making all my, whenever I do make a old fashioned, that's how I enjoy making it. But the tangerine was a complete and utter spontaneous sort of need at the moment. It fit it. I used it. I was hesitant, but whatever, and it actually made a really big difference. I really enjoyed the tangerine influence on the old fashioned. A little bit more floral and sweet. Try it. I think you'd be surprised. Let me know in the comments if you do try it and enjoy it, because I'm just curious if it's maybe just my weird palate, or if it's something that people have just not thought of and ignored. So that's kind of like a little fun thing I decided to add in with the Wild Turkey 101 review, just because backstory, Wild Turkey 101 was the first bourbon that I decided to try to like. I had a couple before, but not really enjoyed them. So I decided, after watching a couple of videos, to get the 101 and make old fashions, because I did enjoy old fashions. So I decided get a bourbon to make, to acclimate myself to the sort of a customary flavor profiles that you'd find with most bourbons. So I usually suggest doing that with people that don't enjoy bourbons or don't enjoy other things. Like, mix it with things that you do like, and just sort of try and find those flavors that you're not always familiar with, and you just your palate and everything just sort of starts to accept them better. So after a bit of time and you have it by itself, whether it be the whiskey or what other flavor, your body just has gotten accustomed to it without you being aware of it 100% of the time. So yeah, so the Wild Turkey 101, that's how I got into it, mixing it with old fashions and then drinking it neat. Now I drink it neat, but also it's my go-to bourbon. While I'll learn to speak, my go-to old-fashioned bourbon. So going to the Wild Turkey, like I said, it is a Kentucky straight bourbon. Lawrenceburg, Kentucky is where the distillery is located. It is the number isn't just for anything other than that's the proof. It's 101 proof, so 50.5% ABV. Out of the barrel, it comes at 109 proof. So they do proof it down slightly, and I actually like this a lot better than some of the other higher proof stuff offered by the distillery. So I think they did a really good job with this one specifically, at least for me. Whether that's selfish or not, I don't really look at it that way. It's subjective for everybody. So for me, the 101's lovely. It is a high rye mash, and I was actually kind of surprised because I'm still new to all of this. So when I think high rye, I'm like, oh, it's a high percentage of rye. It's actually 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% barley. Now, it may just be my lack of research into this, but 13% rye doesn't seem too high, considering that I believe in order to be just like a standard bourbon, it needs to be at least 50% corn. So having the other 25% of corn and a bit of rye, I don't know. To me, 13% doesn't seem like a lot of rye, but again, that could just be my inexperience with bourbons. It's aged 6 to 8 years in American oak with a number 4 char. Now, there's a really good video on charring that I'm gonna try and link up somewhere here, I think, if I can figure it out. If not, it will be in the comment in the description below, explaining different barrel char levels if you guys are interested. Now, in Ontario, where I am, it is $42.55 Canadian, and I know I know it can be found cheaper, but for the Americans, that equals about $32 US. That's probably on the higher end for you guys for what you pay for it. I could be mistaken, but let me know if my assumptions are right. So let's get to the tasting. So it's a standard bourbon from what I've been told, in terms of the complexity and the notes. You get the vanilla. When I say vanilla here, I'm smelling more of a vanilla bean, not so much as like a vanilla extract or anything like that. So like more vanilla bean, caramel or caramel, if you will. Maybe I'll say caramel for the rest of the review. So caramel, the oak influence. You get a lot of that barrel and a nice sweet toffee. And when I was writing my notes down for this just before I started filming, I was getting peanut shells and dried tobacco leaves, which I had never gotten before. And it seems like every time I sit down, well, every time, the last one with the Talisker, I found smoked salmon, as I was trying it on camera. With this one, I'm finding peanut shells and dried tobacco, which I never got before. So either I'm crazy or I'm sort of developing some things, which, both are perfectly acceptable in a very professional style review as this. So on the taste, you get a lot of what you get on the nose. At least that's what I get. But for me, I get more pepper spice. And as it hits the back, I get like a note of damp cedar wood, which is another new one for me. And I'm not too sure if it has to do with the sort of dry tobacco leaf nose note that I get, because then with that, you know, I keep my cigars in a humidor with, you know, cedar, so it may just be my mind playing a little bit of tricks on me that are kind of associating notes together. But yeah, damp cedar, which is kind of a strange thing to get on the palate, but that's sort of what I'm kind of tasting right now. The finish is medium to long. Spicy. Oops, sorry. And a buttery like oat toast, like a dark rye toast with just butter smeared everywhere, as like the linger on the back end, which is nice. Yeah, no, it's I really like this this bourbon. Like I said, it was the first bourbon that I had neat where I really did enjoy it, and I'm trying to really act enthused, but it's one of those things that I was actually that I was told, you know, to act more, you know, enthused about the whiskey. It's weird. I'm still getting used to all this, so I really do like this whiskey. I'm not just saying that just because, especially with the Talisker, I was kind of monotonous a little bit with the review, but I love that whiskey a lot. I really, really like this bourbon. And I'm just a little camera shy, so, you know, we'll get there. But it is really, really good. And yeah, so that's it. Hope you guys liked this recipe / review / just kind of, you know, hang out. So yeah, so I'm gonna try to get my reviews out Sunday mornings, and it's gonna try and encompass most of what I have. I'm gonna try and stop bottling down my whiskeys throughout the week so that I have something to review for you guys on Sundays, but no promises. I'll try my best so that there's more variety for everybody. So, and as you can see right over here, there's a bunch of samples that I still have from a bunch of lovely gentlemen in Ontario that have graciously decided to share things with me. So I have a lot to review, and I'm hoping you guys are liking this, and we're just gonna get, you know, more comfortable and in depth with this as we go. So yeah, so till the next time we see you guys, Slantra.
Baby.